Alright, cool beans. Hope you guys did enjoy that small montage. I'm Hex. I'm gonna finally be going over my updated StamDK build for the update 40 patch. Yes, it's been a while since I've last posted, but we're back. Better late than never, right? So let's go over my StamDK build that's absolutely shattering the meta. Pun intended. Honestly, StamDK is my pride and joy. I love StamDK. This was the second main I played after I got 5-star Max Orc and then got, what is it, 5-star Emp, 5-star Bomber in 1 month. I went to StamDK after that, and I played StamDK for probably like 2-3 years. It's like strictly StamDK, and I know the ends. I kind of know the ins and outs of StamDK. It's my baby, it's my pride and joy. What makes the StamDK a StamDK is they're cheesy. DKs entirely are cheesy, especially StamDKs, because you have all the survivability of a Mag DK, plus you're a Stam build. You can roll dodge and CC break spam all you want, which is just crazy because roll dodge will mitigate mostly all the damage because you dodge the whole attack. Unlike a Mag DK could roll dodge, if you do it 2 or 3 times, you're going to get caught without Stam. StamDK can probably do it all day if you wanted to be honest. But what makes this build, not only does it come with the meta tankiness and meta sustain, it comes with some of the most powerful penetration we've ever seen. We are pushing over 15k penetration on this build. That's on our stat sheets. Plus an extra 6k from major and possibly minor breach. We can easily be pushing over 24k armor shot on a target, which is basically almost true damage on players, especially those pesky knife blades. But how exactly we get the strong build in order? Stick around to the end and I'll show you exactly how. Before we get started, hit the subscribe and like button. Really goes a long way and I greatly do appreciate it. I might not be streaming on Twitch. I might actually just be streaming on YouTube here, so look out for that. I might be farming some gear and, you know, maybe farming with you guys if you guys are interested in that. I play on Xbox and 8, so maybe we can farm there. But without further ado, let's leap our way into the build. Alright, let's go over the skills now. First skill, obviously Fossilize. This is basically our bread and butter stun. Stuns it for 3 seconds, does some flame damage, which is pretty good. I like this more because it roots the target no matter what. Now, most people might be saying, well, they're always going to roll dodge when they CC break. Yeah, that's true. However, if you're forcing someone without stand to stand still for 3 seconds, that's a godsend. You're going to kill that player. It's just going to help you so much. Plus, either more if you go, this thing, what makes this skill so cheesy is that it's unblockable and undodgeable. The amount of times you can catch people off guard with this is just crazy. Next skill is obviously Venomous Claw. This is the bread and butter and my pride and joy skill of StamDK. This skill does a ridiculous amount of damage. Doesn't look like it. Does initial damage, poison status effect, pretty good. Puts a dot on them. The thing is, every time this dot ticks every 2 seconds, it increases by 12%. So does 12%. Then the next tick does 24%. Then the next tick does 36%. All the way up to like 120 or 144. One of those two. It's either 132 or 144. Really good skill. I wouldn't take it away. It just adds that much pressure on a build, because imagine if you're basically countering a Vigor with this skill. Basically, it just keeps dotting them down, and you can set and forget this on another player while you focus another player. And if a Joe Bob leaves his defenses down, you can leap them into oblivion. Next skill is Noxious Breath. This is obviously our major fracture on the build, or breach they call it now. Basically how we get almost 6k armor shot on a target. Puts a dot on them, does initial damage, really good, and it's in a cone and an AoE, so you can pull a Knife Blade as stealth or maybe catch someone mid-roll dodge. Pretty good skill, mostly just there for the major breach. Next skill is Flames of Oblivion. This skill got crazy buff this patch. This skill is ridiculous now. So this is basically our spammable. Anytime you cast this skill, you shoot 3 fireballs. Up to 3 targets, so 1 fireball per target. The thing is if you keep spamming the skill, it's just going to keep casting the fireballs, and it also puts a dot around you, which sends another fireball if you don't recast it every 5 seconds. The thing is, as of this patch, you get Major Prophecy and Savagery. You're 12% crits on both bars. So let's go to my character sheet. Right here, Major Prophecy, Major Savagery. I go to my back bar. As you can see, I don't have Flames of Oblivion here. So if I go back here though, I still have my major crits. That is honestly ridiculous. Plus it does flame damage, and best of all, it sets up our next skill, which is just even more crazy. It's obviously Molten Whip. This is what sets up our burst. This isn't really our spammable. This is basically our execute/burst skill. So basically anytime you cast this Ardent Flame ability, you get a stack. And now as of this patch 2, you can literally be casting any of these skills on any bar. No longer do you have to have Flames of Oblivion if you really wanted to on the front bar, or Ardent or Molten Whip could even be on the back bar too if you wanted to, and you'll still get stacks, which is crazy. The thing is, whenever you cast an Ardent Flame ability that isn't Molten Whip, you get a stack, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 100, and increasing the damage of your next Molten Whip by 20%, stacking up to 3 times. So that's an extra 300 weapon and spell damage and 60% damage on our next Molten Whip. However, they did change a little bit of it, so no longer can you build stacks outside of combat. So if you're casting the skill and you're not building stacks, it's because you simply just have to be in combat now. So if I go into combat here and I cast my skill, now I get my stacks. You see that? It's that simple. And as of this patch, if you really wanted to, you could put Noxious Breath back here. I don't know why you would, but in case you want to have some flavor, see, Noxious Breath. As you can tell, I don't have Ardent or Molten Whip on my back bar at all. So look, if I go into combat and I cast a skill, I'm still building stacks even though it's on my front bar. It got crazy change and crazy buff. It's really, really good now. And I mean, our fully proc whip is at over 15k. Might not look like a lot, but you have to realize we are pushing the limits of penetration on this build. And for ultimate, obviously, Take Flight. This is one of the most fun ultimates and one of the last remaining instant cast ultimates. Every other ultimate, you have to have a cast time. This one, you just leap into the air and you absolutely crush someone into oblivion, doing some ridiculous amounts of damage and like stunning the target for 2 seconds and knocking them back. It's just a very fun ultimate. You could run Ferocious Leap. You could. It could be really good for the defensive, but just being able to cast it at a cheaper ultimate. And this one does more damage. However, the other morph does flame damage, which everyone should be a vampire, so they kind of even out. I just like this one because you can leave from like a mile away, and it's just cheaper. Sometimes that emergency leap can save your life or get a kill. And it's not stated on this thing, but if you actually cast this on an enemy as you're leaping towards the target, you actually snare the target by like 70 or 80%. Unpurgeable. Like, that is a snare that isn't on there. It's because they want players to hit the leap. So if you ever wonder why sometimes you like move super slow when you have snare immunity, it's because of this leap. Doesn't say it. It was on the patch notes. Very annoying. For the back bar, obviously Race Against Time. This is obviously our snare immunity that just happens to get Major Expedition and Minor Force. But however, if you don't want to grind Citric, I completely understand. All we gotta go down here is, where is she? Protective Plate. Basically, when you cast a skill, you get 4 seconds of snare immunity. However, you do lose 10% crit damage and that burst of speed. Just in case you don't have access to Citric or don't want to grind it, it's there. But if you can, please just grind Citric. At least at level 5 for Race Against Time. It is such a godsend. Next skill is obviously Hardened Armor. This is basically our armor buff. You can run either morph. However, I really like this morph because in PvP, you get like almost a 5k shield. Now, it might not seem like a lot, but think about it. Sometimes your Koak doesn't crit and it gives you a 5k heal. This is basically guaranteeing that you can cast your armor buff and not get bursted into oblivion. So it's kind of nice. I wish the armor buff would last 25, probably 30 seconds would be pretty good. However, you do got some flavor of Reflective Sun Flame damage, which could proc burning. Not really there for the damage, mostly there just to be able to proc burning. Next skill is obviously Resolving Vigor. This is obviously our burst hot heal out over 5 seconds and grants us minor resolve. Next skill is Igneous Weapons. This skill is basically how we get our 20% weapon and spell damage on the build. And anytime we cast the skill, we also proc our Minor Brutality from Mountain's Blessing. Basically, anytime we cast the skill, we get 20 seconds of 10% extra weapon damage, which is why we want to spec more into weapon damage on this build. And the thing about this buff, it lasts for over a minute, 72 seconds. You cast the skill once and you basically have this ability up, and you don't have to worry about casting it for the Minor Brutality because you do have Fossilize, and Fossilize will keep proccing your Mountain's Blessing. So don't worry about that. All you have to do is cast it once every minute and you're set and forget. It's really good, really nice. And then if you cast the skill multiple times, you can actually get some stamina back, which is really nice. So if you're in a pinch and you need some stam and you have a lot of mech, just keep casting that skill and it might save your life. It has for me sometimes. Next skill is obviously Coagulating Blood, or most common referred to as Coag. This is one of the most cheesiest heals in the entire game. Heals you a lot. The thing is, depending on how low health you are, you increase this heal by up to 50%. There's been times where I was like at 1 or 2 HP, and I crit healed this thing for like 14, 16, even 18k sometimes. Like, it was ridiculous how much this thing heals. And if you ever want to hear a joke, it grants you some health recovery. And for ultimate, Actually, we're gonna change the ultimate. The back bar ultimate, I wouldn't recommend corrosive anymore because as of this patch, you no longer generate ultimate. Still the same, it's just right there. But you cannot generate ultimate. For me, that's already a big no. I don't like that because one of the most things about ESO that's really fun for me is just dropping ults. Being able to get blood spawn procs, trickery procs if you're running that, major and minor heroines, like it's just so much fun. That's what makes this game so much fun, the ulti spam sometimes. But this will prevent you from spamming ultimates. So if you do want an emergency get out of jail free card, I'd highly recommend Magma. I know it's weird, but this one will let you generate ultimate, and by the time the Magma's over, you'll probably even have 60 up to 100 extra ultimate ready to go, just in case you want to leap somebody or you want to cast another Magma to get alive. But if you do want that extra damage, you could still run corrosive. However, I'm gonna swap to Magma. I tried corrosive, don't get me wrong, the damage is there, but since I play 1vx, I need all the survivability I can get, so I go Magma. But if you're running in a Zerg, or if you want the corrosive just to be able to burst people, go ahead, it's fair. Alright, but enough of that, let's go with the stat sheets. Okay, so for the stat sheets, just simple trap pots. Crown trap pots work. You can run minor heroism pots, or you can craft them yourself too. Either one's fine, just saying that crown trap pots work. So let's check it out. Our max mag over 15k, max ult over 32k, and our max damage over 22.6k. Now our recall's fully buffed. All you gotta do is have your trap pot running, go into combat, and if you have race against time, cast race against time. And if you don't have race against time, don't worry, just stay in combat and pop your igneous weapons, and you can proc your wretched vitality set like that easily. Make sure our tripod's still rolling. Look at that, mag recover over 1900 and our stam recovery is over 2100. That is some ridiculous amounts of recovery. However, that's not even the full story of a DK because of this passive right here, Battle Roar. So we're basically getting even more sustain that we can't even see on the tooltips, which is just crazy. Now our fully proc weapon is spell damage. All you gotta do, be in combat, hit your igneous weapons, just make sure you have a dot on them so you can cast your Flames of Oblivion and get the 300 weapon spell damage. There we go. Look at that. Weapon damage is over 5800 and our weapon to spell crit is just shy of 31%. Might look a little low, but what makes this build is look at that penetration. Over 15k on a StamDK. That is criminal. That is legit a war crime we are doing on players right now. That is a lot of shred. This is basically when you see a Nightblade that's trying to gank you, you can Noxious them and just leap them into Oblivion. And if they're lucky, they'll survive the leap with 1 HP and they just get killed by a light attack. If they're lucky. If they're not so lucky, the leap kills them instantly with a crit. And now our physical and spell resist, pretty simple. Spell resist over 31.5k and our physical resist over 30k. And our crit resist is always at 20 to 82. Beautiful. For attributes, we do have 20 points in the health and 44 points in stam. I felt this was pretty good. However, if you do want some more points in the health and be a cheese lord, go ahead. That's what I like about builds. And for the Mundus, obviously the Thief. If you know me, you know that I love crit. Getting an extra 6% chance to do an extra 50% bonus damage to targets or an extra 50% bonus healing already got me sold. Because what absolutely melts pugs is critting, and what absolutely pressures the sweat is when you crit your whole combo to the point where you can even catch them off guard and burst them into Oblivion. That's what I really like. However, if you are a dual player, you could run the Serpent to get some extra recovery, even the Atro if you're having more max sustain issues. But if you want more damage, you could go the Warrior. Do not go the Apprentice, go the Warrior, or the Shadow if you want to push the limits. Don't go the Lover. The Lover's not that great because it doesn't benefit you at all on your back bar. Obviously, Purple Food, saying that Purple Food is perfectly fine. And obviously a stage 3 vampire for one simple passive. Undeath. The lower health we are, the tankier we become. And for my race, I am obviously the pay to win, best race in the game, in my opinion for Stam, Imperial. In my opinion, Imperial is hands down the best open world Stam race out there. You get access to Tough, increases our max health by 2k, the most max health from a racial passive. Imperial Metal increases our max stam by 2k, but the best pay to win, best racial passive is Red Diamond. Reduces the cost of all your abilities by 6%. That includes mag, health, stam, and your ultimates, plus your core combat skills. Your roll dodge, CC break, blocking, sneak, all that costs 6% less. Plus, since we're a stage 3 vampire, we get 8% cost increase. So basically reducing that negative effect is really good, and that's where the sustain really comes in. When you have higher percentage costing, increasing the cost of your abilities, Reduction is really strong. Trust me, I do the math. I don't want to bore you with all this math, but trust me, that's why it's really good. However, some strong alternatives. Nord could be really good. Orc is really good on Stam. Khajiit is always really good. Khajiit just slaps everything these days. Wood Elf, don't sleep on Wood Elf. Wood Elf is pretty good. Dark Elf, you're kind of pushing it. Anything else, I'd kind of stay away from, to be honest. All right, but enough of that. Let's go with the sets now. Alright, so for the first set we do run Wretched Vitality. Hex, Wretched Vitality again? Weren't you running Trickery on the Eclipse? Yes, I swap back and forth between Wretched and Trickery. Honestly, sometimes it just depends how I'm feeling. You can either run Wretched Vitality or Data Trickery. They both work perfectly fine. If you are a newer player, I'd probably stick to Wretched Vitality. Just being able to spam your heals, keep you alive, roll dodge as much as you want. Probably once you start getting better or you're in a group, then you can start running Data Trickery. However, if you're playing strictly BGs, probably stick to Wretched Vitality. Why do I go Wretched Vitality? Because simple, you cast one skill, Race Against Time, or your Molten Armaments, you get 390 Magicka and Stamina Recovery. And that is base. What I mean by base is that you can increase it by your potions, major and minor buffs, even the continuous attack. So you can easily be pushing 500, even 600 with this thing, which is just crazy. And it has no cooldown, so it basically has 100% uptime if you're casting your heals on cooldown and popping your Race Against Time. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's back barrable and it's crafted. What more do you want? Obviously, if you do want Trickery, you could run Trickery. The only thing about Trickery that's really fun is you get those major buffs. The thing is, the sustain isn't as good unless you proc that major heroism. Being able to get 3 ultimate every second and a half, because on a DK, ultimate generation is sustained because of Battle Roar. So the more ultimates we're able to spam, the more sustain we get on a DK. However, it is a roll of the dice, so if you roll a major protection, your next roll could be another major protection. So it is a roll of the dice, but the crazy amount of things you can do with this set, if you get a major vitality and mending, and you crit heal your Coag at 1 HP, you're crit healing that thing for almost 20k. Guaranteed, Eddie. Guaranteed. It's almost happened for me. I'm still waiting the day I can crit heal a 20k. Crit heal Coag. And for the monster set, obviously, tried and true, Bloodspawn. I mean, Bloodspawn on a DK is like butter on toast. You can't have one without the other. I mean, what would even happen if you even took it off? Does the game even let you do it? Okay, let's not do that again. So the reason Bloodspawn is really good, 1 piece Stam recovery, beautiful on any class, because you've caught without Stam, well, this is keeping nearby for you to res that. The thing is, when you take damage, you have a chance to proc 13 ultimate and over 3,700 physical and spell resist, which is just crazy. The thing about this, ultimate on a DK is sustained. However, if you are running Magma and you do want to swap over to, what's that one set? Balorgs, been a while. Balorgs, you could run Balorgs. If you are running Magma, I could justify running Balorgs. Balorgs is probably one of the craziest sets in the game, and obviously if you do run it with Trickery, it could be even crazier. However, Bloodspawn, if you're a newer player, or if you play open world, or if you just love spamming ultimates, just stick Bloodspawn. It's just tankiness, damage, sustained, it's just everything you want on a DK. And we do run 1 piece training because this is a meta front bar, back bar setup with a mythic. Why 1 piece training? Because we do have 1 slot available, so why not slot training? Gives us the most max health for a 1 piece. And what mythic do we run with this? Obviously, you can just tell my pride and joy, my baby, my love, maybe not love, my just go to Markin Rig of Majesty. This is my most favorite mythic in the game. Like, there is no other mythics. Like, it's just set and forget. The other ones are fun. However, this one is just tried and true, does what it needs to do. You put this build together. And you put this ring together, you get 200 weapon and spell damage and over 2,300 armor. Just here you go, for free. Don't even have to think. That's it, and no other downside. That's it. We built it right, no downside. Unlike Sea Serpents would give you the most damage, and it's a good alternative. However, that snare is just abysmal. I do not like being snared into oblivion. I like being free and mobile. When I cast a Race Against Time, I'm gone. No one's catching me. Now you might be saying, well, what if I run Race Against Time with Sea Serpents? Well, what about me? If you're trying to chase me with Sea Serpents and I don't have Sea Serpents and we both pounce Race Against Time, you're not catching me. So good luck on that. However, if you do want the most damage or are playing BGs, Sea Serpent's a good option. Death Dealer Street's really good. However, if you just don't have access to any mythics for some reason, then you could just run a Druid's Braid, is that what it's called? Ring here. That could work. I'd say just get your hands on mythics. You're at a severe disadvantage if you don't run mythics in PvP. And for our front bar, we are running the set that is shattering the meta, and that of course is Shattered Fate. Shattered Fate is literally living up to its name. It is literally shattering the meta. This thing is ridiculously good. At first, I wasn't a believer at this. I saw it and I was like, you're losing so many sets on your back bar. However, the amount of penetration and damage you can do with this set, especially against those pesky knight blades, it's just completely bonkers. Like, completely bonkers. So basically, this set gives you almost 8k penetration. Imagine if a set gave you 1-piece penetration, 2-piece penetration, 3-piece penetration, 4-piece penetration, 5-piece penetration, with another half a piece of penetration on the 5-piece. That's basically what this set is. It is basically making us do almost true damage to targets, which is just crazy. And now that I don't always run corrosive, it's pretty good. However, if you are running corrosive, I still recommend Shattered Fate because corrosive only affects your direct damage attacks. So your whips, your Flames of Oblivion. However, your dot ticks from your claw, from your breath, from burning, and poison, those don't get buffed at all by corrosive. However, this skill, or this set, I mean, does buff it. So that is why this set is really good. It is just shattering people into oblivion. Try it out once, you'll never go back. Plus it's crafted, so you can craft it in any way you want. So the way we run it, so for the front bar, we do run double maces of Shattered Fate. You can tell we are pushing the limits of penetration on this build. On the main hand, we do have an absorb stamina check, good for the stamina sustain, but mostly there we're able to proc minor breach, because then whenever you do physical damage, you have a chance to proc minor breach, and enchants have the highest chance, 20%. And obviously Nirnhold on the main hand, please on the main hand, make a Nirnhold, it makes a difference. And a shock damage check on the offhand, good for the damage, mostly there to be able to proc minor vuln, because when you do shock damage, you have a chance to proc minor vulnerability. And sharpen, because in PvP, penetration is king. For the back bar, we are running the Restoration Staff of Wretched Vitality, or Danger Trickery. So if you are deciding to run Trickery, then you just swap whatever Wretched Vitality is for Trickery. They're both crafted, so it works perfectly fine. And for the poisons, I just put a double dot poisons here. Honestly, you could run whatever you want back here. Some absorb health poisons, some absorb mag poisons are pretty good if you are having more mag sustain issues. The back bar just make it defending because tankiness is next to godliness. And for the body, we do run the typical 3-2-2. Yes, 3 heavy, 2 medium, 2 light. If you can see that my Bloodspawn helmet changed to heavy, it did, because I actually did not notice that I had a medium Bloodspawn helm. So for the head, we do run a heavy Bloodspawn helm, heavy chest of Wretched Vitality, heavy shoulders of Bloodspawn, a light sash of Shattered Fate, light hands of Wretched Vitality, and medium legs and feet of Shattered Fate. And for the enchants, if you can, try set all the pieces, and if you can't do that, try set the big pieces. What I mean by that is head, chest, and legs, and if you can't do that, max damage perfectly fine. Just adjust your health attributes at the end. And for the traits, typical seal of approval hex traits: 6 M-Pen, 1 reinforced. Yeah, 6 M-Pen, 1 reinforced. The only reinforced I have is a heavy chest, the Wretched Vitality, reinforced, and the rest M-Pen. However, if you do want some more well-fitted or some heavy reinforced pieces, go ahead. That's what I like about builds. We fit to our playstyle. And for the jewelry, we do run a necklace of the trainee, a ring of Wretched Vitality, and a Marken Ring of Majesty, because it only comes in a ring, duh. All with weapon and spell damage, preferably Stam Recuv, but if you have some, or all with Mag Recuv, would make or break the build. And for the traits, honestly, it's up to you. I went full infused because we do get 10% extra weapon damage on the build, because we're DK with Minor Brutality. So we're able to bump up this weapon and spell damage even further to increase our heals and our damage, because Bloodthirsty will give you the most damage, however, it doesn't double dip into your heals. Plus, it only scales when they're really low. So it's personally up to you. I just like all infused because it just crazy spikes our heals. However, if you do want 1, 2, or 3 Bloodthirsty, go ahead. Honestly, you can make however you want. It's your build. You can make it however you want. I give you the blueprints and the tools, and you go from there. And for the food, simple Jewels of Mistral, saying that purple food is perfectly fine. Gives a lot of max health and recover everything. But if you got deep pocket or don't mind spending a little extra, or Zafka's Smoke Bear Haunch gives you about 400 more max health and slight more reco. And for the pots, simple tripods. Gives us a burst of health, mag, and stam, and reco of everything. But if you got even deeper pockets and you want to show the world you're balling and absolutely push the limits of DK, then you could run minor heroism pots right here. But they are very expensive, so be careful on that. If not, tripods perfectly fine. Alright, but enough, let's go with the CP now. Alright, so for the blue CP, we do run Focus Many, increases our healing done with single target heals. Deadly Aim, increases our damage done with single target attacks. The reason we run Deadly Aim is because it double dips Our whips hit harder. Our Flames of Oblivion, even though it hits 3 targets with single target fireballs, kind of weird, does double dip with this. Plus our dots are single targets. So our Claw, our Noxious, Burning, and Poison will all double dip with this. So that's why we run the Deadly Aim. Ironclad reduces our damage taken for direct damage attacks. And Untamed Aggression grants us an extra 150 weapon and spell damage, which is just flat. So we can increase this by an extra 30% actually on the DK because of minor and major brutality. And plus continuous, so this thing can get really out of control. It's because DKs are kind of in that weird situation where they have single target dots, they have single target damage, then they have AoEs. So this kind of gives you a mixture of everything. Plus it also increases your heals. However, if you do want to do some more damage, you could run Master at Arms. Do I have it on this tune? Or you could run Fighting Finesse. Honestly, there are a few options, but this is what I go. And for the red CP, typical seal of approval red Hex CP. Celerity increases our move speed by up to 10%. Honestly, in my opinion, the best CP in the entire game. Survival Instinct, while with a negative status effect, our core combat spells cost less. That includes, but not limited to, Roll Dodge, CC Break, Blocking, Bashing, that all costs 25% less. Pain's Refuge, the more negative effects we have active on us, the tankier we become. And Sustained by Suffering, while affected with a negative effect, so basically anytime you're in PvP, you're affected with a negative effect. Increases our health, mag, and stam recovery by an extra 150, which is base. So we get an extra 30% from our pots. If you have minors, that's an extra 15%. If you have a continuous, that's an extra 20%. So this thing can get pretty out of hand. And for the green CP, it doesn't ever really matter. Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Gift the Rider, and Steve's Blessing. But if you are strapped for green CP, the only ones that you really need to worry about, Breakfall and Steve's Blessing. That's all you really need to focus on. But alright, cool beans, that's the build. Hope you guys did enjoy it. It has been a while since I posted, I know. But honestly, StamDK is my baby. It's my pride and joy. This is probably the second main I played, like open world. Like I absolutely love StamDK. I played it all. I played 2H. I played dual wield 2H, 2H sword and board, dual wield ice staff, dual wield sword and board. I played it all, so I'm kind of familiar the most with StamDK. It's my bread and butter. I love StamDK. The amount of damage and tankiness, it's just, and plus magma or corrosive. If you still want to run corrosive, it's just so cheesy. That's all that it is. StamDK is just full cheese. It's a cheese night. It's all of it is. But I hope you guys did enjoy the build video. Like the video if you liked it. Comment your thoughts and experience with the build. Also anything I might have missed out. What video I should do next. Subscribe for more. But most importantly, stay Zerging.